All right, let's go over here.
He didn't get your comment.
No, he really didn't, did he?
I stood up.
Okay.
Was temporary.
So, in case you haven't noticed the theme yet, there is a theme this year. And we'll wait for this guy to go by. And the theme is 50 years of 3 Series in racing. We've got some of the generations missing, but we've got a little bit over each that we'll go through. I'm going to start with the E21 320 Turbo here. This was raced in 1977 by David Hobbs. So those of you who followed Formula One in the 80s and 90s know that name. It's the same guy. So the car was originally designed with a 2-liter naturally aspirated engine taken from the Formula 2 BMW. So it was an M12/something or other. I don't remember offhand. But it raced in Europe in the under 2-liter Group 5 class. In the US, there was no under 2-liter Group 5 class. You were up against the Group 5 class, which was Porsche 935s and things with massive turbos and lots of horsepower and whale tails and things. So this car was not going to be very competitive unless they did something. The car was run by McLaren Engineering out of Livonia, Michigan, and they had a guy on staff who was an engine guy who had turbocharged Offie engines for Formula car for Indy, and so he had a look at the block, and there was a 4-bolt main crank and strong crankshaft. So he went, I think we can turbocharge this thing. So they started testing it, and in the end, it's a 2-liter turbo engine with a massive Allison diesel turbo on it. Hobbs says you basically point it in the right direction, put your foot to the floor, count to 5, and then all hell breaks loose. The car was fast. It became competitive because it had enough power. It could have up to about 700 horsepower, so it was a lot. Probably not for very long. The car did either very well and made a podium, or it blew up. So it was one of the two. It was pushing the envelope of what you could do with turbocharging at the time. What's interesting, though, is that this was the basis for the further development of the turbo that powered the Brabham BT52 to Formula One victory and the World Championship in 1983. That was a 1.5-liter with a big turbo on it. They tried different things. The biggest dyno that was available at the time was 1,200 horsepower and would peg the dyno for a qualifying engine. So they think that in qualifying trim it could do 1,500 horsepower for a lap out of a 1.5-liter. So this was the beginnings of all of that. There are 5 of these chassis in the world. This is chassis number 2. Zach Brown across the way has one of them, and the others are in private hands in the US and one in Europe. So yeah, very interesting car. We're not running it this weekend because the engine is not running. So we are in the process of rebuilding the engine on the car, and hopefully sometime in the future we'll have it back on track. But the rest of it is ready to go. So let's move on to the next one. And we'll wait for this car to go by. So you'll notice E30 M3 is not here. E30 M3 didn't really race much in the US. We raced in showroom stock in the Firehawk series. That was it. Was it Gorman? What's the first name? Mr. Gorman. Shoot. Anyway, US team ran it. It was very close to the showroom version of the car, and it was successful at certain tracks because it was kind of a momentum car rather than a horsepower car. But yeah, in Europe it was the winningest touring car ever. So M3 E30 was really a big step forward. E36, we raced E36s in the US very successfully. Right now, our E36 M3 is in the Peterson Museum in LA, and the other 3 good cars that are available are all in Europe racing in classic Le Mans things. So we didn't have one to show you, unfortunately. But that brings us to the E46. And this is another very successful car. It started its career in 2001 with the V8 engine, with V8 power. After the V8 was banned at the end of 2001, it was put away for a year, and then it was converted to the inline six version. And that sounds good. Yeah, that's high revving. And then it raced in Grand Am from 2004 through 2006. Won the championship in 2004. So this car has a lot of race history on it. The engine is the racing version of the S54. If you have an E46 S54, you notice there's a little difference to the front. There's no Vanos on it. In the race engines, we don't usually have Vanos. Don't need it because you're not doing part throttle, part load anytime. You're doing either full off or full on. So you don't need to tune for it. And yeah, again, very successful car and great one in our collection. We do have one V8 powered car, and it also is at the Peterson Museum in the 50 years.
Because I think there's going to be an event later this month.
There is on the 28th, yes. Yeah, and so you'll get a chance to see it. And we'll open up the cars if you're able to go, so you can see the engines in the car. But we also have a P60 engine, the V8, on a stand there for you to see, and the street car that goes with it.
How rare is a street car?
There are 3 in the world.
Oh.
So after E46 came E92, and it's interesting to think of the V8 powered version of that.
Hold on, pause. Go.
Okay. The V8 version of that in street form was 370 horsepower, and it was a pure race engine, detuned and kind of modified to work on the street. When the E92 came out, it was a 4-liter V8, same size, 414 horsepower, and reliable for 100,000 miles. Yeah, you may have to do rod bearings, but if you abuse it. But yes, so in the space of 7 years, we moved from a pure race engine that developed 370 to a pure street engine, same size, that could do 414. So that's progress. And then this is the race version of the E92. The engine is based on the street engine. So the street engine is the S65. This is called the P65. Again, no Vanos. Vanos is gone. It's a dry sump lubrication with the oil tank behind the engine. And you're probably wondering why, how did we put the oil tank behind the engine? That's normally where the transmission goes. You're right. Transmission is at the rear on this car. It's a transaxle car. The engine is lower and further back, and the rest of what you see here are airflow management through the car, under the car, and over the car. One major difference on the engine, if you've heard this one run, it doesn't sound like the street engine at all, and that's because it has a flat plane crank. So it really operates like 2 4-cylinder Siamese at the crank. The advantage is better torque, higher RPM capabilities. The downside is much higher vibration. So the cross-plane crank you have in the street engine is much more suitable for daily driving, whereas this thing vibrates a lot. If you put a GoPro on anything solid in the car, you get just waviness. You don't get images off of it. So you'll notice that if we have a GoPro in the car, it's mounted to the seat because the driver dampens the vibrations a bit. If we come around to the side, and actually, before we come around, I want you to just have a look at that, the interior. Let's have a quick look at it, because we're seeing the evolution of racing technology for the driver as we go forward as well. So this is very simple. There's a couple of switches on the steering wheel, mostly for radio and a couple other things. And the dash cluster is very simple. The seat is on rails like a street car, so different drivers can adjust the seat to where they want. The downside to that is the driver loses fidelity. And if you put a camera behind the driver on the roll cage, you'll see the seat moves by probably about that much under the G-loads. So as a driver, you don't have as good a feeling in the car. It's also not as safe as what I'm going to show you in this. But it's the old way of doing it, and it's more street car focused than the current race cars are. All right, let's move over to this guy now. You want to hold that door open? Super light, isn't it? First thing you notice is the seat is absolutely solidly mounted to the roll cage. Doesn't move at all. So if the car moves, the driver knows it. And you have very little lock, so you have to be very quick on the steering, otherwise you'll spin. There are no driver aids on it, so you have to be quicker than the car to be able to drive it. A lot more buttons on the steering wheel now than before. Most of the controls you need while you're driving are on the wheel itself. You've got things like turn signals, flashing high beams. The car does have traction control. But don't confuse that with stability control you have on your cars on the street. Traction control only controls how much slip of the wheels. And it is adjustable by the driver. It doesn't stop you from spinning at all. However, if you are able to get into the traction control after the apex and hold it, that will be your fastest exit from the corner. So the drivers use that to get the maximum push out of the corners. It's a leap of faith, and as I was learning this car, it took a long time for me to be able to be comfortable with that. It only works if you're full throttle. So if you're part throttle, you have no traction control. So you have to have commitment to go full throttle and hope it works. Car has AC, has air conditioning. Because it has side windows, you need the cooling for the driver, and the series would check what the temperature was in the car. They had telemetry that would tell them whether you were too cold, too hot, or okay. In order to make the make the size of the area smaller to air condition, there is a bulkhead behind the driver, so that the area that your air conditioning is smaller. It still gets hot in there. And I should go back to the seat for a second. Because the seat's fixed, in order to be able to accommodate different drivers, the pedal box moves. The steering wheel doesn't. You just got to suck it up and make it work for you, but the pedal box can be moved by about a little over a foot. So, and it's done with a lever right here. This is the mechanism. And so when they do a pit stop, they can very quickly change it and get going. Gearboxes. So the first car there was a full synchro gearbox. You had to clutch, you had to heel and toe, rev match, all that kind of stuff. E46, sometimes we ran with a sequential shifter, but you still have to heel toe, you still have a clutch, but between gears you can just pull a lever. That one is equipped right now with a H-pattern dog box. So no clutch while you're moving, you just lift a little bit, get the next gear, lift a bit, get the next gear. For downshift, you have to blip the throttle as you're braking, and then it'll go in. If you do it well, it's fantastic. If you don't do it well, you're going to hear grinding noises, and I'll be upset with you. This car was the first time we were allowed paddle shift. Gearbox is still a full racing gearbox. It's not a DCT like your street car, so it's a little bit slower shifting. But you shift with paddles, up and down and up. And actually, there are two ways. So you can use one hand to do it, and it just kind of paddles back and forth. As I said, the transmission is at the rear of the car, and that's so that the weight distribution is moved rear. We move the engine rearward. As a driver, you're sitting in the rear passenger footwell. So everything's moved back. The weight distribution is about 58% rear on this car, which, for a street car, we like 50-50, but for a race car, you have better traction off the corners with some weight rearward. So we're not as far back as Porsche, but this one was further back. as far back as we could go with the rules that allowed us. Other pieces you'll see is the aerodynamics here. So there's a inlet for cooling of the transmission. The lower one is rear brake cooling, and then there's some exits at the back to let the air out after the coolers. And yeah, and that in a nutshell is the car. This generates a lot of downforce, roughly 1,200 pounds at 100 miles an hour. So quite a bit. Going over the top of the hill, if any of you driven this track in the street car, it gets super light on the top of the hill. And this, I'm pulling the next shift at the top of the hill. So just flat until you get down to the braking zone. So it's easy peasy.
Downforce on their street cars, right?
You're missing downforce on your street cars.
You need
Yeah,
more of it.
you need more. Yeah. So and actually that one's pretty good too. So you're flat over that rise and through turn one. You're going pretty fast too. You're 140-ish, 135, 140. So yeah, pretty quick.
Well.
Yep. What else can I say? Any questions about the cars?
What did this car achieve, this particular?
What did this one achieve? With its sister car in 2011, it won the championship for BMW and for Team RLL. The sister car is actually the driver championship winner as well. This one isn't. This one has several podiums and a couple of wins over the 2 years that it ran. But it's the second most storied car of the four we have. So the one that won the championship, the driver, manufacturer, team, I'm missing one. Driver, manufacturer, team, and Michelin Green X for efficiency is at the Peterson Museum, the number 56 car. This one helped win the manufacturer and team championship. And it's Bill Oberlin's car. So it's important. It's very important.
On a couple of these, it says 10. The fuel filler has 10 gallons maximum or something like that on the fuel filler.
Oh, no, that's just for us racing this weekend. Maximum fuel capacity was regulated by the series, and I think it was about 110 liters of fuel. But when we're doing shorter races here, so they mark on the car how much they put in, and then after the race they'll take that fuel out and measure how much is left. The dash display will tell you what your fuel consumption is, so they have an idea there as well. But and we have a lot of data on this car at this track, so we know that we should use so many gallons per lap, and we calculate it that way. Don't want to carry too much; it just slows you down. What else can I tell you? So this is the newest car we're allowed to race here. So that's why it ends here. And then we brought an M4 CS, which has just been launched. This is a street car, of course, but it's the most extreme street car we have
We launched it here at Laguna Seca.
We launched it here at Laguna Seca, exactly. And now they're starting to be available. So
Is that set up for a race harness 5-point?
it's a street car, but
Yes.
it's really good for track days.
It's just got the little center piece on the seat.
Yeah, no cup holders, and yeah, it's lighter. It has more performance. It's got Michelin Cup tires on it, so it's more grippier. Yeah, it's a really great car. So we show the latest and greatest along with the history.
You said the top speed on this track is about?
Ooh, top speed. I think it's about probably close to, in kilometers, probably close to 250. So that's like 150-ish. I don't know. I'm not looking at the speedometer. It's just a little display, and it's changing all the time. So I don't really look at that.
What's the top speed of the car?
It depends on the track, the gearing in it. Yeah. So this one it's got a gearing in it that is pretty good for most tracks in the U.S. We would have different gearings at let's say, Road America or Daytona, but this never raced at Daytona, so didn't need it. The last race for this car was Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. The track map is still on the door for it, and the tech sticker is right there. So that was the last time it raced. Yeah,
They used to have a readout of the speed, right?
they
And
did.
that
Yeah, it's
grid,
gone now. I look for that every time I go by.
The box is still there.
Yeah,
The box
it's
not
not doing anything. I know, it's very disappointing.
It is.
Yeah.
You can see, wow, those are going pretty
Yeah,
quickly. at
exactly.
35.
You said this is the E56 engine.
P65.
Is that the engine they put in the Z4 when they raced that?
It was also called a P65, but no, it's not the same at all. Yeah, it's a good question. So the question is, was the engine in the Z4 that we raced after this the same engine? No, the Z4 engine was originally developed for a customer race car called the Z4 GT3, and it's a crossplane crank, so it sounds very different than this. So it's similar layout to the street car, and it's 4.4 liters. So it's a higher displacement, less stressed, and it has a much longer life. So it can drive for a season and not have to be replaced. This in its full race trim is good for, I think they said 6,000 kilometers. So one long race. So after Sebring, for example, the engine's done. It'd have to be rebuilt. We've detuned them a little bit, so they're good for about 8,000 kilometers now. So, and 8,000 kilometers will last us forever if we take care of them. And we have spares as well, so that helps. Yeah.
What wears out?
What wears out?
Yeah.
Tires a lot.
In the engine, I mean.
I don't know because they never really shared what they find when they take them apart, because the engine gets sealed and sent back to Germany, and some guys go through them there. They'll either decide it's worth rebuilding or not. Yeah, it's hard to say.
Are gear ratios adapted for different tracks?
Yes.
Or are they just...
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Not so much, but yeah, definitely. Road America would have different gear set. What would be and Daytona if we raced there. This car never raced in Daytona, but Daytona you need a different gear set for sure. Any other questions?
That's one about the engines you mentioned, the 4.4 liter
Yeah.
for the V8.
Yeah.
So all these years I always saw and heard like half a liter per cylinder was ideal, can't do better. But so many of the road cars have 4.4 liters, so the V8s from the 7
Right.
Series, to the NA50,
Yeah.
basically everything. So is there something about the 4.4 that BMW really likes? You see it all over.
The reason it's 4.4 is on that particular engine is the engine is capable of being bored out a bit more.
Yeah.
And the bigger the displacement, the more torque you have, the less stressed the engine is. So that's really the reason they went to 4.4 liter. Yeah, at 50 cc per is.
Cars can be less stressed also.
Yeah, exactly. And with the turbocharging, it's not as important anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It almost seems that the E90 series at 92, that they took the V10 of the old M5 and took 2 cylinders off. Is
Right.
it that just simplistic, or is it similar?
Yeah, the question is the V8 in this the V10 with 2 cylinders lopped off? Basically it is. It's the same layout. It's the same technology. I mean, M has to make a business case to make a new engine, right? So they took what they had already developed and then cast a new block. And we have our own foundry in house, so that part's easy for us. And then built up the V8 from there. Yeah.
Sort of slice.
It's not a slice, but it's
Yeah.
it's same tech. Yeah. Yep.
Did you never race the V10?
No, we never. Well, only in Formula One. Yeah. Never in a GT car. No. Yeah. So there you have it.
Thank you.
Thanks
you
for
very
coming
much.
out.
It is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
You're welcome.